Okay, so we are going to start with testicular tumors today. It is an important topic, and you will tell me the anatomy because you would have studied it in first year. Which gender? Males, right? Okay, then that's all. In the scrotum, over. What is present around the testis? Where do the sperms mature? It is formed where? It is formed in the testis and then it goes to the epididymis and then it matures there, then it goes to the vas, right? Okay, so you're going to say this to the whole class?
Yes, ma'am. Testis. Punta. Epididymis. Vast difference. Maturation of sperms. Formation and maturation. Seminiferous tumors. Epididymis. Vast difference. Tunica albuginea. Tunica albuginea. Septa. Lobules. Seminiferous. Sperms. Vasa. Sperms. Sperms of germ cells. Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. Leydig cells.
Do they secrete something?
Testosterone is androgens. Yes.
So, why was this part important? Because that is how we are going to understand the origin of these tumors. Okay? Okay, you would have studied all these things already. We will not go through this. Again, as described by your batchmate, there are tubules divided by septa in the testis, and inside these lobules, there are seminiferous tubules, okay, which are lined by cells in different stages of spermatogenesis, right? In between, there are Sertoli cells also, and between the loops of these seminiferous tubules, there are other supporting interstitial cells known as the Leydig cells. Okay, so what are these round structures? Yes, there are two things, these round structures that are there, and in between there are some areas that are there, okay? So in between these round structures are the interstitium, okay? What are these? Seminiferous tubules, right? So these are seminiferous tubules, and then you can see sperms in different stages of development. You can see spermatogonia, okay? You can also see, here it's not very clear, but you can also see Sertoli cells in between that help and provide nutrition for the formation of the sperms. Okay, this is the basement membrane, if you can appreciate. Okay. Blood supply, coming to the blood supply, arterial supply, mostly testicular artery. Okay, and you know that this has pamphiniform plexus of veins. I think all of you know that. Okay, it's very important in your general surgery when you're going to read hernia. Okay, okay, and lymph nodes, okay, lymphatics, mostly para-aortic lymph nodes drain it. Why is it important? Because seminomas usually spread by lymphatics, okay, and non-seminomatous tumors spread via blood. Okay, now coming to testicular tumors proper. So, of course, it is a diverse group of tumors, you know, because they have different origin depending on the cells of origin, right? Affects young males, it can be 15 to 45 years of age. Okay, a few are there which will happen in the elderly also, and there are again some rarer ones which are predominant in the pediatric age group. Okay, 1 to 2% of all cancers in the USA. Okay, in India, it forms 1% of all malignancies in males. Okay, so basically it has higher incidence in Europe and United States. Okay, it has a lower incidence in Asia. Okay, so what are the most common types? The most common type is the germ cell tumor. 95% are germ cell tumors, and the rest of the 5% are sex cord stromal tumors. Okay, we will come to that, what is germ cell and what is sex cord stromal tumor. Again, the same thing, age for GCT, germ cell tumor, 34 years is the median age, and 50% of incident cases between 20 and 34 years of age. Okay. Now again, this is 3 peaks, 2 to 4 years, 20 to 40 years, and above 50 years. Okay. Predisposing factors 1 to 5 are very important. Okay, they are the major predisposing factors, and 6 to 8 they have found that there is some kind of correlation, but it is not very well established. Okay, so what is cryptorchidism? Yes. Yeah. Tell me, get up. Yes, undescended test is very good. Okay. Next is Klinefelter syndrome. Okay. Then, you know what is Klinefelter syndrome, right? Yes? Okay. Then, positive family history, positive personal history, then germ cell neoplasia in situ. Okay, so what is positive family history? History in any first degree relative. Okay, that is positive family history. Now, there is something peculiar here. If there is testicular tumor in a father, then there is high chance of a son developing it, or vice versa, like that. But in siblings, the chances of developing becomes even higher. Okay, that is your positive family history. What is positive personal history? If an individual already has had a previous history of testicular tumor, developing another primary tumor, not recurrence, not relapse, another primary tumor is higher in such an individual. Okay. Now, what is germ cell neoplasia in situ? Okay. So, what happens is during developmental phase, okay, embryogenesis, when these germ cells are developing, there is some kind of abnormality in the primordial cells that already are present in most cases of testicular tumors. 90% cases, testicular tumors will have this abnormality. So what happens is, this particular GCNIS, this is not an invasive carcinoma, this is again in situ. This will be present and this will be dormant, okay? Now, when there is hormonal activity beginning, during puberty, when spermatogenesis is starting, what happens is, then there is abnormal proliferation of these already abnormal dormant primordial cells, and they give rise to what? Invasive carcinoma. Okay. Now the rest, trauma, viral infection, hormonal factors, exposure to environmental estrogen, all these are there, but they are minor. Coming to what are the two main types? Germ cell tumors arising from the germinal cells. Okay, as we have already discussed, the ones that are present in the seminiferous tubules giving rise to sperms. Okay. The other one is stromal or sex cord tumors arising from stromal and supporting cells. Okay. So therefore, these are not of germ cell origin, right? So what are those cells that are not of germ cell origin? Roll number 10. So roll number 10 is absent. Roll number 15. 15 is roll number 15. Sorry? Roll number 10. Okay. So what are those cells that are non-germ cells? We just discussed. Yeah, what are those stromal cells? In the beginning of the class we discussed, no? What are the supporting cells inside the seminiferous tubules?
Those are called Leydig cells.
Very good. And starts with S.
Sartori cells.
Excellent. Sit down. So, again, mainly two major histological groups, germ cell tumors, okay, arising from the germ cells, and stromal or sex cord tumors, okay. So, these are the two histological groups. Sometimes they can be present together and give rise to mixed tumors. So, let's quickly see the difference between these two groups. Germ cell tumors, of course, germ cell origin, more than 90%. Of course, we know that it's very common, right? Highly aggressive, okay, rarely produces hormones, okay, embryonic or extra embryonic in origin. Stromal tumors, stroma derived, we know that they are rarer, they are generally benign, they produce hormones, and they are originating from stromal or supporting cells. Remember, common is germ cell tumor and they are mostly malignant, and less common is sex cord stromal tumor and they are mostly benign. Okay, now this is from your Robbins. Please go and read this. Even if I tell you, you are not going to remember. Just tell me which Robbins are you guys reading? Are you reading Robbins at all? Somebody saying yes, somebody saying no. We are preparing for PG entrance. Yeah, which Robbins? Which edition of Robbins right now? 10th edition? Really? No. Which is the latest edition of Robbins? No. And what about the 11th edition? Is it present? Do we have South Asia 11th edition? Yes or no? Are you guys reading Robbins? Please read Robbins. There are two Robbins. You should read the larger one for important topics at least. Okay? So this chart is given in your 11th edition of Robbins Pathologic Basis of Diseases. Okay? So let's see what is the classification here. Can you guys see from the last bench? Okay, so what are the non-invasive ones? Germ cell neoplasia in situ, GCNIS, that we just discussed, okay? And there is another one that is known as gonadoblastoma, okay? Now, tumors of single histologic type, pure forms. Why are they saying tumors of single histologic type? Because whatever tumors you are reading here, they can also be mixed, okay? In that case, we call them mixed germ cell tumors. 2 or more can be present in various percentages when we call them mixed germ cell tumors, okay? Okay, so seminoma can be present, pure seminomas are present, okay? Then what are the other tumors which are non-seminomatous tumors which are usually mixed and pure forms are rare? Embryonal carcinoma, yolk sac tumor, post-pubertal type, okay? Choriocarcinoma, teratoma, again post-pubertal type, teratoma with somatic type malignancy. You cannot remember so much, at least remember teratoma and choriocarcinoma, okay? Okay, next, non-seminomatous germ cell tumors, okay? They can be mixed germ cell tumors. I already told you, in non-seminomatous, it can be either pure or mixed. So what are the two main forms of germ cell tumors that we read? Seminomatous and non-seminomatous, right? Okay. Now there are some germ cell tumors which are not coming from GCNIS. Most of the germ cell tumors arise from GCNIS, but there are some rare tumors which are not coming from GCNIS. Okay? Those are germ cell tumors unrelated to GCNIS. Example is spermatocytic tumor, teratoma. This is pre-pubertal type. Again, yolk sac, pre-pubertal type. Okay, remember only that much. So what happens is, when we are talking about this spermatocytic tumor, usually seminomas, they have not very good prognosis, right? They are supposed to be malignant tumors, but this spermatocytic tumor, which is not derived from GCNIS, they have excellent prognosis, okay? They are spermatocytic type of seminomas and they have very good prognosis. Okay, again, sex-cord stromal tumors, okay, they can also be pure tumors or they can be mixed tumors or they can be mixed germ cell and sex-cord stromal tumors, okay. What are the sex-cord stromal tumors? We have already discussed. Leydig cell and Sartoli cell tumors.
मैम उसके बाद जर्म सेल ट्यूमर्स में सेमिनोमैटस, नॉन सेमिनोमैटस, सेक्स कॉल्ड स्ट्रोमा ट्यूमर्स में लिडिक सेल्स ट्यूमर्स और सर्टोली सेल्स ट्यूमर्स।
और अदर्स में क्या है?
मैम मेटास्टेसिस और टेस्टिकुलर लिम्फोमा।
नॉन सेमिनोमेटस ट्यूमर्स में क्या क्या आएगा बताओ?
मैम यॉर्क सैक ट्यूमर एंड embryonal CA. मैम कैल्शियम, अच्छा कार्सिनोमा,
फिर आगे और क्या है?
मैम टेराटोमा, कोरियोकार्सिनोमा,
और फिर embryonal carcinoma. Shouting GCNIS, what did you understand? हाँ तुम बताओ. हाँ tell me. हाँ बोलो. What are the non-invasive ones? अब बताओ.
The germ cell invades
Germ cell? What?
nucleus, yeah,
हाँ.
and
In?
in situ.
Yes. When I say non-invasive, it has to be in situ, no? Therefore, it is not invasive, right? And gonadoblastom. Okay. Simple. Okay. Now we'll go to the pathogenesis. Okay, not everything is important for you. You just know the classic type and the spermatocytic type in seminoma. Okay, non-seminomatous also, you know the names. I will ask you again at the end of the class, you better remember. Okay, have a look at the sex cord stromal tumors. This fibroma is very commonly present where? Do you know? You will come across this fibroma thecoma in ovary. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the pathogenesis, we have already discussed the pathogenesis in the beginning of the class. We will just go through it. Okay. So, environmental factors. What did we discuss in environmental factors? Yeah, and genetic factors, both. Did we discuss cryptorchidism or not? Okay, so what other abnormalities are related to testicular tumors? Cryptorchidism, hypospadias, and poor sperm quality. Okay, these are all cryptorchidism and hypospadias, yes, but poor sperm quality, this is an incidental finding. Okay, now I already told you that GCNIS develops in utero, right? During the embryologic phase, okay? Therefore, in utero, exposure to pesticides and certain forms of estrogen can also be risk factors, okay? Okay, now cryptorchidism is the strongest recognized association, okay? We have already discussed Klinefelter, okay? And again, we have discussed familial risk factors where if especially first degree relatives, again, if an individual's father has, then they have some percentage, maybe 4 to 5% chances of developing. And if the siblings have, then there is, the chance is almost double. There is 10% chances of developing these testicular tumors. Okay, so what are the genes that can be implicated in these conditions? So, these include genes related to KIT L meaning KIT ligand, okay? You must remember that BAC is related to apoptosis, right? And gonadal development also, okay? So, these genes are implicated in testicular tumors. So, progression to invasive germ cell tumor is strongly associated with isochromosome 12p reduplication. Okay, small arm of chromosome number 12 reduplication. Okay, that is implicated in development of invasive tumor. Okay, so why am I saying that is implicated in development of invasive tumor? Because most of the individuals develop invasive tumor from what? From, don't make me say it again, GCNIS, no. So already when you have developed GCNIS, when any individual has developed GCNIS in utero, when there is implication of this isochromosome 12p, then what happens is there is development of full-blown carcinoma, invasive tumor, okay? The tumors that are not related to GCNIS, that are rare, okay? Those are not implicated by chromosome 12, they are implicated by chromosome 9. Okay, others you don't need to remember so much, just again remember KIT LG, NANOG, KRAS if you can. Roll number 45. Tell me, what is the difference between, you just tell me what are the different types of germ cell tumors that we were just talking about. I hope you are able to understand invasive germ cell tumors come either from GCNIS or are not related to GCNIS. Two types, most common are the ones that are coming from GCNIS, that is almost 90%. The rest, fewer that are not coming from GCNIS, that are not related to in situ carcinoma, they have better prognosis, but they are rarer. I hope you have understood this point. Okay, so the ones that are the invasive carcinomas that are coming from GCNIS are implicated by chromosome 12p, and the ones that are not, that are unrelated to GCNIS, the germ cell tumors that are unrelated to GCNIS, they are implicated by chromosome 9. Sit down. Okay, so this is what we have been discussing. Again, we will discuss the pathogenesis of germ cell tumor. The tumor begins when a primordial germ cell acquires a defect in differentiation. This is already happening in utero, when the embryo is developing, okay, when the fetus is developing, right? Now, once there is a defect in differentiation in this primordial germ cell, what happens is, after that, growth factor signaling, often through KIT receptor, okay, activation promotes the precursor lesion, right? So there is already one defect, and then KIT is promoting what? The primary lesion, okay? Then the precursor lesion is germ cell neoplasia in situ, also called, let's not talk about, don't get confused, just know germ cell neoplasia in situ, GCNIS, okay? This is already developed in situ, this is already developed in utero, okay? Again, the same thing, GCNIS is thought to arise in utero and remain dormant till puberty. Now, when during puberty, because of the effect of different hormones, there is differentiation and proliferation of these already abnormal primordial germ cells, is when the tumor starts developing. This is again a picture from your Robbins of how the tumor develops. Okay, now coming to germ cell tumor proper. Okay, So, roll number 42. 42? Okay. Tell me the classification of testicular tumors. Yes. तुम देख के बताओ, but you tell me so we can start.
Germ cell tumor, sex cord tumors. Seminoma, embryal carcinoma, teratomas, and coronary carcinoma. Leydig cell tumor, Sertoli cell tumor, granulosa cell tumor. Other tumor. Glioblastoma. Glioblastoma.
Lymphoma, very common. You should remember in others, even if you can't remember anything else, please remember lymphoma, because in elderly patients, when they come with a testicular swelling, okay, more than 60 or 65 years of age, suppose there is bilateral swelling, most of the times it turns out to be lymphoma. So remember lymphoma, okay? Okay, so let's start with seminoma. Okay, now we'll go fast. Most common testicular tumor. Okay, again 30 to 50 years of age, peaks in the 4th decade. What are the types? Just mostly remember the classical seminoma and the spermatocytic seminoma. Okay. I already told you that the spermatocytic seminoma has better prognosis, okay? So, discussing seminoma in general, the classical seminoma, the most common type, grossly, testis can be enlarged to up to 10 times, okay? So, enlargement of testis, cross-section shows homogeneous, grey and grey-white solid, usually no hemorrhage or necrosis is present. So this is your seminoma of the testis. Okay, so under the microscope, how will this classical seminoma appear? The tumor cells are composed of uniform, large, round to polyhedral cells with watery clear cytoplasm. Why is the cytoplasm so clear? Because of presence of varying amounts of glycogen. Okay. Nucleus is hyperchromatic and centrally located with 1 to 2 prominent nucleoli. Mitosis is rare. Okay. Thin strands of fibrous septa surround these tumor cell lobules. Okay. And they are infiltrated by lymphocytes and plasma cells. So this is classical seminoma. Okay, IHC, just remember PLAP, CD117. No need to remember so much in detail. Okay. Okay, spermatocytic seminoma, again it is uncommon. I told you this is unrelated to GCNIS. Okay, gross appearance is soft, friable, yellowish, grey and gelatinous. The tumor is composed of 3 types of cells, small, intermediate and large cells. Okay, no need to remember more than that. So why is this called spermatocytic seminoma? Because of the filamentous appearance of the chromatin. Okay, this is spermatocytic seminoma. Again, we already know the difference between the classical seminoma and spermatocytic seminoma. This has better prognosis. spermatocytic one, and the classical one has worse prognosis. Okay, teratoma. Have you guys read teratoma before? You would have read teratoma. It occurs in the ovary also. This is defined as germ cell tumors arising from two or more than two germinal layers. Okay, what are these layers? Ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Okay, so you would have read in embryology what are the derivatives of each layer. Okay, now if there is a tumor that arises from two or more than two of these layers, that becomes your teratoma. Okay, this can occur at any age. Now classification, what are the types of teratoma? See, there is mature teratoma, immature teratoma, and teratoma with malignant transformation. Okay, so how will it appear grossly? Depends. The gross will depend on what are the contents of the teratoma. Okay, usually there will be solid and cystic areas. There can be presence of bone, cartilage, hair, okay, and sebum also, depending on the contents of the teratoma. Okay. Mature teratoma commonly occurs in infancy and childhood, okay, less common in adults with greater risk of malignancy. Mature teratoma meaning you are going to be able to identify the tissue types. They are all going to be mature. Either skin will be present or some respiratory glands or GI glands or brain tissue, bone, cartilage, hair follicles, anything can be present. But they are all differentiated mature tissue. Okay. So under the microscope also you are going to see that. This is the gross appearance of mature teratoma. Can you appreciate some fat lobules? Adipose tissue can also be present in between. Okay, now again this is mature teratoma. I don't know if you can appreciate, there are some well differentiated glands here. Here, what is present? This part is cartilage and there is some neural tissue also present. Immature teratoma, they are commonly present, occurs in adults and they can very well be malignant. Okay. So, immature teratomas can also have mature components, but they will have a certain amount of immature components also. Okay. They will have a certain amount of immature component which will be difficult to differentiate. Okay. You will not be able to differentiate it into tissue types. You will not be able to tell whether it is skin or whether it is bone or what. They will just appear like primordial cells. Sometimes they will form rosettes also. Okay, they are immature components. Teratoma with malignant transformation. So what happens is many times when there is mature teratoma and suppose there are all the mature germ layers present, from those particular germ layers malignancy can arise. Like what? Suppose there is skin present or squamous lining present, squamous cell carcinoma. Suppose there is some other glandular structure present, adenocarcinoma. Okay, this is rare but this can happen. Okay, embryonal carcinoma occurs between 20 to 35 years of age. Pure form is not very common. I already told you that there can be mixed germ cell tumors. So embryonal carcinoma most often is present intermixed with other types of germ cell tumors. Okay. Gross appearance grey white, solid and poorly demarcated. Of course, aggressive tumors very often are not well demarcated. We know that. It does not replace the entire testis. Areas of hemorrhage and necrosis will be present. It was not present in which tumor? Hemorrhage and necrosis usually not present in seminoma, right? Okay. So, coming to microscopic appearance, tumor cells are large, pleomorphic, polygonal and epithelial looking. Large. They are large in size, they are pleomorphic, meaning they look overtly malignant. Okay. Polygonal and epithelial looking or totally undifferentiated with distinct cell outline, or they can totally look undifferentiated like a poorly differentiated carcinoma. You cannot make out the origin of this kind of tumor. Okay, sometimes it is so poorly differentiated that you will have to use IHC markers to make out actually what tumor it is. Mitotic figures are frequent. Mitotic figures were rare in which tumor? Which one did we read first? Seminoma, right. Okay. Tumor cells are arranged in glandular, alveolar and papillary formation. What is glandular arrangement? Like glands, right? Glandular arrangement. And alveolar, can you make out from the word itself? Like what? Respiratory alveoli. And papillae, you know already what it is. Okay. Sometimes giant cells can be present. This is positive for cytokeratin. Just remember cytokeratin CD10. And negative for CD117, c-KIT. Which was positive for CD117? Seminoma. Okay. This is the gross appearance. Can you see how irregular and poorly demarcated it is? And you can also see areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. These are the cells we were talking about. Can you see how overtly pleomorphic they look? Look at the nuclei, they are hyperchromatic. This particular tumor has a few other names like endodermal sinus tumor, most common germ cell tumor in infants and children. This has very good prognosis. Okay, so how is the gross appearance? This is soft, poorly defined lobulated mass. It is grey-white, mucinous and microcystic. Okay, there will be cysts present and there will be presence of, it will look like partially translucent, mucinous. It can look that way. Okay, these are the 11 patterns that this particular tumor has. Just remember the most common ones. Okay, endodermal sinus tumor is the endodermal sinus pattern is the most common. Thus, many a times we use yolk sac and endodermal sinus tumor as exchangeable synonyms. Then there is macrocystic, papillary, solid. I think these you can remember. Glandular, these are the common ones. You can remember very easily. Okay, so there is something very characteristic that is present in this tumor. What is that thing? You have to remember this. This is a Schiller-Duval body. Okay. What is, how does it look? This is like a structure like a glomeruli. Okay. Glomerulus-like structure. There is blood vessel in the center. Then there will be connective tissue and that will be surrounded by tumor cells. Okay. choriocarcinoma. This is highly malignant germ cell tumor composed of neoplastic, syncytiotrophoblastic cells and cytotrophoblastic cells. Occurs in combination with other germ cell tumors. I've already told you, germ cell tumors can occur as mixed subtypes, okay, classically present as small painless testicular nodule. Similar tumors also arise in the placenta, ovary or trophoblastic cells, okay. How does it look? Again, gross appearance wise, it is grey-white with areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. So most of the other tumors will have areas of hemorrhage and necrosis because germ cell tumors are malignant tumors. It is rare only in seminoma, right? Okay. What are the cells that are present? The tumor cells are a mixture of two types of cells, syncytiotrophoblasts and cytotrophoblasts. Syncytiotrophoblasts are giant cells having large number of irregular hyperchromatic nuclei and eosinophilic cytoplasm. We know that giant cells have many nuclei. We already know that, right? So, syncytiotrophoblasts are giant cells. They have multiple nuclei and eosinophilic cytoplasm. Cytotrophoblasts are polygonal cells with clear cytoplasm and large hyperchromatic nuclei. Okay, these cytotrophoblasts can be arranged in sheaths or cords. So, since this is related to placenta, you can remember that IHC, HCG is positive, right? HCG is positive. So, this is the gross appearance of a pure choriocarcinoma. So, pure choriocarcinoma related to placenta, therefore kind of like placental tissue. So, it will have what? Pure choriocarcinoma will have a hemorrhagic appearance. You already know, no? Placenta is very rich in blood vessels. So, similar tissue is forming a tumor here, therefore very highly vascular. Okay, hemorrhagic appearance. Okay, so this is how microscopically a choriocarcinoma occurs. Okay, I don't know if you can appreciate, there are some giant cells in between which are what? Which have eosinophilic cytoplasm, plus there are areas where cells have clear cytoplasm. Okay, so giant cells with eosinophilic cytoplasm were syncytiotrophoblasts and cytotrophoblasts were polygonal cells with clear cytoplasm. Okay, mixed germ cell tumors, already told you, varying degrees of mixture of these germ cell tumors will give rise to mixed germ cell tumors. Okay, more than 50% of testicular tumors are mixed germ cell tumors. Examples are teratoma with choriocarcinoma, teratoma with embryonal carcinoma, embryonal cell carcinoma and seminoma. Okay. Okay, sex-caused stromal tumors, coming to Leydig cell tumor. Okay, they are functional tumor. Why functional? Because they produce hormones. They arise from interstitial cells of the testis, Leydig cells. Okay, produces androgen, estrogen or both. It can occur at any age. So there is a huge age gap between 20 to 60 years. Gross appearance, well circumscribed tumor varying in size from 1 to 10 centimeters, yellowish to brown in color. Okay. Okay. So microscopically, how does it appear? Sheets of large polygonal cells with granular cytoplasm and central round nucleoli. Okay, large polygonal cells with granular. This appearance is known as granular cytoplasm. It appears like grains. Okay, granular. granules it will appear, okay, granular cytoplasm, and well demarcated cell margins. You can see eosinophilic cytoplasm, and you can see the centrally located nuclei, okay. Now here can you see this is also another version of Leydig cell tumor only, where there is clearing of the cytoplasm. Please remember in IHC, inhibin and MAT1. Okay? Sertoli cell tumor, we'll finish soon now. Androblastoma, it is synonym is androblastoma. It is a red tumor. It secretes estrogen and androgen. They are small, white or yellowish tumor. The tumor is composed of elongated Sertoli cells arranged in tubules, cords, and sheaths. Few cases manifest as precocious puberty. Now let me tell you that very often Leydig cell tumors can manifest in young children as precocious puberty, or they can give rise to symptoms like gynecomastia in adults. Okay? Why? Because they secrete hormones. Sertoli cell tumor can also give rise to these kind of symptoms, but it is rarer compared to Leydig cell tumors. Gonadoblastoma, we'll just know 2 lines. It is a red tumor, originates from dysgenetic gonads, mixture of germ cell tumors and stromal tumors. Malignant lymphoma, okay. If an elderly patient, as I told you, is presenting with testicular mass, sometimes bilateral testis, more often than not it is a lymphoma. It is usually non-Hodgkin type lymphoma, okay. So what are you going to find? You are going to find, after on gross appearance, you are going to find a mass lesion, again whitish grayish. There can be areas of necrosis, and on microscopy you will find all the normal structures that are present, that is seminiferous tubules, the interstitium, everything is infiltrated by large atypical looking lymphoid cells. So, solid homogeneous appearance of testis in a lymphoma. Sometimes it can also present with necrosis and hemorrhage. Okay, look at this, seminiferous tubules, and what is all this? The interstitium is infiltrated by these large atypical lymphoid cells. Can you appreciate? Completely it is kind of infiltrating the testicular structures. Okay, there can be other tumors, which is not very important, but because if there is presence of muscle, fat, whatever normal structures are present in the testis, from that any kind of mesenchymal tumor can arise, right? Okay, how does it spread? Spread can occur directly, or either direct invasion or via lymphatic and hematogenous routes. I already told you that seminoma exclusively, most commonly spreads through the lymphatic route, okay, and non-seminomatous GCT, they usually spread via the hematogenous route. Clinical features, It can be a painless testicular lump, or it can present with a sensation of heaviness in the testis. There can be dragging pain. Sometimes it can mimic due to pain. Sometimes it can mimic what? Inflammation, orchitis. And large tumors can also undergo torsion, which can mimic a torsion. Okay. Coming to the rest of the clinical features, it depends on where the tumor has metastasized to. If it's in the liver, there's going to be jaundice, there's going to be hepatomegaly. Okay. If it's in the lungs, patient can present with shortness of breath. You already know the investigations, all the investigations where you will have to send the whole tissue after orchidectomy for what? For histopathological examination. Before that, what do you have to do? You have to do an MRI, you can do PET CT, you can do CT scan. Okay, so tumor markers are very important. AFP and HCG, you should remember. AFP is what? Alpha fetoprotein, okay? Okay, so this one you should remember. Please, if you guys want, you take a picture of this. At least this you should remember. Which tumors will cause change in which biological markers. Okay. Okay, so this is the PTNM staging. I am not going to bore you with this anymore. This is given in your Robbins. Please go through the PTNM staging. And as for the treatment, it depends on the type of testicular tumors, whether pre-surgical therapy or post-surgical therapy is required, or whether they will just go for orchidectomy. Orchidectomy is removal of the testis, okay? Whether they will go for a high orchidectomy. It all depends on the type, extent and spread of the tumor.